Sometimes, life introduces you to a person who feels like magic. The connection is intense, almost electric. You look at them and feel like you've known them across lifetimes. Your heart beats differently around them. There's a comfort, a familiarity, an unexplainable pull that goes deeper than attraction. It feels like destiny. And yet, you can't be with them. Maybe they're committed to someone else. Maybe the timing is completely off. Maybe life circumstances stand like a wall between you. It's a love that lingers in the space between almost and never. And in that emotional storm, you start to ask, why? Why would the universe give me this powerful connection only to take it away? Why show me something that feels so perfect, yet place it out of reach? But here's the truth most people overlook. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people are not meant to be your forever. They are meant to be your turning point. The universe sends you someone you can't be with not to punish you, but to awaken you. These people come into your life as teachers. Silent ones, they don't always arrive with lessons written in bold letters. Instead, they shake your soul. They bring emotions to the surface that you didn't even know you had buried. They mirror your wounds, your fears, your hopes, your deepest longings, and in that reflection, you begin to see yourself more clearly. You start asking questions you never asked before. You begin confronting feelings you've avoided. Maybe they teach you how deeply you can feel. Maybe they show you what you truly want in a partner. Maybe they help you realize the kind of love you're no longer willing to settle for. And sometimes they simply remind you that your heart still beats, even after all you've been through. It's painful, yes. There's grief in losing someone you never truly had. There's heartbreak in wanting something so badly, only to watch it slip through your fingers. But what if that pain has a purpose? What if the universe sends these impossible connections not to break you, but to break you open? Think about it. Before them, maybe you were living on autopilot, guarded, numb, disconnected. But after them you feel. You ache, you yearn, and in that emotional intensity, you become more alive, more aware, more connected to your own heart than ever before. This isn't a mistake, it's alchemy. The person you can't have becomes the catalyst that sets you on a path of inner transformation. Their presence lights a fire under your soul. It makes you look at yourself more honestly. It pushes you to grow, to heal, to become someone who no longer needs love to be returned in order to be real. So no, they weren't meant to stay, but they were meant to arrive, and their arrival was divine. Because their role in your life was never about forever. It was about now, about this moment, about waking you up to something you couldn't have accessed alone. When the universe sends you someone you can't be with, it's not cruelty, it's calibration. It's your soul being tuned to a new frequency, one that leads you not to them, but back to yourself. There's something incredibly powerful about the people we can't have. It's not just the loss that cuts deep, it's the way they expose parts of us we didn't even realize were hiding. You see, when the universe sends someone into your life that you can't be with, it's often because that person was never meant to fulfill a romantic role. They were meant to act as a mirror, not a soft, gentle mirror that flatters you, but a raw, honest reflection that shows you who you are beneath the surface. It's easy to get caught up in the story of love and longing. It's tempting to focus only on the pain of not having them, on the tension of what could have been. But if you look closer, you'll realize that this connection, this person who feels so impossibly significant, is holding up a mirror to your soul. Through them, you start to see your own fears, insecurities, patterns, and desires more clearly than ever before. Maybe they reflect your fear of abandonment, the way you crave closeness but run when things get too real. Or maybe they mirror your hidden longing for approval, the way you mold yourself to be accepted, Maybe they awaken your deepest wounds, the ones you thought were long buried. Suddenly, all those feelings you kept tucked away start rising to the surface, not because they created the pain, but because they revealed it. These people don't enter our lives to complete us. They enter to illuminate what still needs healing. And sometimes, what we think is love is actually recognition. It's not that they are the missing piece. It's that they trigger something familiar, something that resonates deeply within us, often connected to our past. That pull you feel, it might be your inner child reaching for a sense of safety. It might be your unhealed heartbreak trying to write a new ending. It might be your soul remembering something that your mind can't quite grasp. And yet, because you can't be with them, you're forced to turn inward. You can't rely on the relationship to fix you. You can't cover up your insecurities with romance or drown your fears in affection. All you're left with is the reflection, and in that space, something sacred happens. You begin to meet yourself. You begin to notice how you react, how you chase, how you push away, how you dream, how you hurt. You become aware of what you give and what you deny yourself. You notice the walls you've built and the places where love hasn't yet reached. The person you can't be with becomes a doorway to self-awareness. Through them you begin to reclaim the pieces of yourself that got lost along the way, and maybe that's the whole point. Maybe they didn't come into your life to be your partner, they came to be your mirror, to show you where you're still unfinished, to reflect your light, your shadow, your unhealed places. And maybe the pain of not having them is exactly what helps you finally have yourself. Because once you see yourself clearly, once you recognize the patterns, the wounds, the truths, you can begin to change. You can begin to grow into the version of yourself that no longer chases what's unavailable. The version that no longer confuses chemistry with connection or longing with love. You begin to stand in your own worth, rooted and whole, without needing someone else to reflect it back. So when you meet someone you can't be with, don't just ask what went wrong. Ask what they're trying to show you. Because sometimes the love you lose is the mirror that helps you find the love you've been missing within. It's one of the hardest things to accept. When the connection is real, the feelings are mutual, the bond is undeniable, but the timing is all wrong. You meet someone and everything just clicks. The way they look at you, the way they understand you, the way you both just seem to know. It's rare, it's raw, it's beautiful. And yet, you can't build anything with them. Not because there's no love, but because life has placed you on different roads. Maybe one of you is healing, maybe one is committed elsewhere. Maybe there are miles, responsibilities, or entire realities between you. So again you ask, why would the universe allow something so powerful to bloom, only to block its path? It's easy to believe that love is only real when the stars align perfectly, that if it was meant to be, it would happen. But timing is not always a sign of fate's rejection. It's often a test, a spiritual one, because the truth is, not everything that feels right is meant to happen now. Some connections are placed in our lives not to begin a love story, but to awaken something dormant, to remind us what we desire, what we need to grow into, what's possible, and sometimes to show us what we're not ready for yet. Timing can feel cruel, but it's actually the universe's way of protecting sacred things until both people are prepared to hold them. You might be ready for love, but not the kind of love this person offers, or maybe they're not ready for the version of you that's evolving. And if the relationship moved forward prematurely, it could collapse under the weight of unhealed wounds and unmet expectations. So instead, the universe delays it, not to hurt you, but to prepare you. When you meet someone who stirs your soul, but life won't let you be with them, it doesn't mean the connection is a mistake. It means the universe is showing you a future version of yourself reflected in another. It's giving you a glimpse into RSP, a preview of the he-love that could be love, that could be possible, po once s, certain sible, once certain p parts r of t, your s of your journey are journey are com, plet cocom. And that can be heartbreaking, yes, but it can also be sacred. Think about how much pressure we put on ourselves to force outcomes. We want answers, we want permanence, we want something to hold on to. But when you're given a connection that can't unfold yet, you're invited into a different kind of relationship, one with trust. Trust in divine timing, trust in your own path, trust that if this person is truly meant for you, no amount of distance or delay can stop what's meant to bloom in its season. And even if this love never returns in the way you hope, it still serves a profound purpose. It stretches your heart. It teaches you patience. It forces you to let go of control, to surrender to something bigger than logic or planning. It teaches you to love without possession, and to appreciate the presence of someone even in their absence. It shows you that real love doesn't always end with a happy ending. It sometimes ends with growth. So maybe the timing is off because you're not ready for the version of yourself you're becoming. Or maybe they're not, and maybe the space between you isn't empty, it's sacred. It's filled with the work that must be done before the connection can return, or before you discover something even deeper waiting for you just ahead. Because sometimes the universe says not now, not as punishment, but as protection until you're strong enough to carry the kind of love that doesn't break under time. It's hard to see it in the moment, but sometimes the love that doesn't work out is the very thing that sets your entire life on fire. In the best way. When you're in the thick of it, all you can feel is the ache. You replay the conversations, you wonder what could have been done differently. You scroll through memories like photographs in your mind, searching for a reason why the universe brought you someone so impactful, only to take them away. But what if their purpose was never to stay? What if their only mission was to shift you? We like to think the universe delivers love as a reward, that if we do enough healing, or grow enough, or believe hard enough, the right person will stay. But sometimes the most powerful connections come into your life to reroute you completely. They don't arrive to be the destination. They're the spark, the ignition, the earthquake that cracks open the life you've been settling for. You meet them and suddenly you start questioning everything. The way you live, the way you love, the way you've been showing up in your own story. They awaken something in you that refuses to go back to sleep. They show you a version of love or connection that is so rich, so electric, that it exposes the dullness you've grown used to. And once you've felt that, you can't feel it. It's not just about them. It's about what their presence reveals. Maybe you realize you've been playing small. Maybe you see how much of your life has been lived on autopilot. Maybe you recognize that you've been tolerating less than you deserve, or hiding from your own potential. That one person, that one impossible love, becomes the emotional earthquake that knocks your soul awake. And the pain of losing them, that pain becomes fuel. It forces you to confront the parts of yourself that are still asleep. It makes you ask harder questions. It pushes you to do the inner work, not because you want to forget them, but because you realize you want to become someone you can be proud of. Someone who doesn't wait for others to validate their worth. Someone who no longer begs for love, but radiates it from within. Sometimes the universe knows that if it gave you what you wanted, you'd stop growing. You'd get comfortable. You'd settle into that love like a warm blanket and never chase the fire inside you. So instead, it sends you something beautiful and then removes it. Not to hurt you, but to awaken you, because heartbreak has a strange way of sharpening your vision. It clears the fog, it humbles your ego, It brings you back to your knees, back to your soul, back to your purpose. You start creating, you start healing, you start dreaming bigger. You stop asking for permission to become who you were always meant to be. And maybe none of that would have happened if that person had stayed. Maybe you needed the pain to discover your power. Maybe you needed the loss to reconnect with your life. So when the universe rips someone out of your arms, don't rush to label it as a tragedy. Pause, breathe, look closer. There's a fire being lit in your spirit, and it's not because you lost love. It's because you found yourself standing in the ashes, ready to rise. Because sometimes the person you couldn't keep was never meant to complete your story. They were meant to awaken the one you were born to write. It's strange how certain people can enter your life for such a short time, yet leave such a permanent imprint. You feel them in moments that have nothing to do with them, in music, in dreams, in quiet pauses during the day. You sense their energy long after they're gone, like an echo in your soul. And you wonder, how can someone who was never fully mine still feel so important? Still feel so meant for me? But what if the reason is bigger than just coincidence? What if that person wasn't sent to stay, but to fulfill a soul contract that was made long before either of you ever knew what love would feel like? Some connections are not of this world. They aren't logical. They don't check all the boxes. They don't always make sense on paper. But they pull you in, and they shake you, and they feel like something ancient. That's because they are. You and this person might have agreed to meet in this life before either of you were born. A soul contract. A sacred agreement not to love each other forever, but to help each other evolve. To meet at the exact moment when your souls needed to shift. And that's why it feels so intense, so unforgettable. It's not just emotional, it's spiritual. But here's the part no one tells you. Just because you made a soul agreement doesn't mean the relationship was meant to last. Some contracts are temporary. Some are designed to trigger, to awaken, to catapult you into a deeper version of yourself. That person may have come to help you open your heart again, or to show you what self-respect really means. Maybe their only purpose was to ignite something within you that nothing else could, and once that purpose is complete, they leave. The chapter ends, not because something went wrong, but because the agreement has been fulfilled. This is where the pain creeps in. Our human hearts crave stories with perfect endings. We want the love that shook us to be the love that stays. But that's not always how spiritual growth works. The universe doesn't operate on comfort. It operates on expansion. And sometimes the person you thought would be your partner for life was really your spiritual midwife, there to help you birth a new version of yourself. They might not be the one who walks beside you in the long run, but they are the one who helped you step onto a different path entirely. And without them, you might still be asleep. You might still be repeating the same old patterns. You might still be asking for love in places where you never truly felt seen. So you let go, not because the connection wasn't real, but because its purpose has been served. And in that surrender, you begin to honor what the relationship actually was transformational. You start to see that even temporary love can leave a permanent mark on your soul, that even short stories can change the entire meaning of your book. And in time you come to understand that this person wasn't a mistake. They were a message, a mirror, a sacred echo from another plane that came into your life not to stay, but to evolve you. And as painful as it was to say goodbye, their departure was never the end. It was the fulfillment of something far greater than your mind could ever fully understand. Because some people don't come into your life to stay. They come to fulfill a promise your soul made long before you ever knew what loss and growth really meant. There's a kind of love that teaches you how to hold on, but there's a much rarer kind that teaches you how to let go. When the universe sends someone into your life that you can't be with, it often feels like a cruel joke. You want to grip the connection tighter, to force something to work that clearly isn't meant to. You hold on not just to them, but to the story, to the potential, to the dream of what it all could have been. But eventually, when you're tired of holding what's already slipping through your fingers, you begin to realize something profound. Letting go isn't weakness, it's awakening. The pain of wanting someone you can't have reveals how deeply we've been conditioned to associate love with possession. We think if it's real, it must stay. If it's strong, it must be ours. But the soul doesn't operate in terms of ownership. It knows freedom. It knows alignment. It knows when a connection has served its purpose and when clinging to it only creates more suffering. And this is the deeper gift of these impossible loves. They don't just show you your heart. They show you your attachment. They bring to light how tightly you've been gripping what's not meant for you. They force you to face the fear that if you release this person, you might never feel something like that again. But what if the act of releasing is actually the sign of your growth? What if letting go is the moment your heart becomes fully conscious? It's easy to say you love someone. It's harder to love them enough to set them free, to love them enough not to need to own their time, their affection, their body. That's a love that transcends ego. That's a love rooted in soul. When you reach this point, you no longer see love as something you must possess in order to feel whole. You begin to understand that love can still exist, even in absence, even in silence, even in goodbye. This doesn't mean the feelings go away. It means your relationship with the feelings changes. You stop trying to pull someone closer, and instead you turn inward. You begin healing the part of you that believed love must be returned in order to be valid. You begin tending to the wound that made you think being chosen by them was the only way to feel worthy. You start practicing detachment, not as a way to run, but as a way to honor what was. You learn to carry the beauty of the connection without needing to chase it. You allow yourself to feel the grief without turning it into shame. You allow space for gratitude to live beside sorrow. And something beautiful happens when you do this. You grow, quietly, powerfully. You stop searching for someone else to reflect your value back to you. You start embodying it. You no longer fall in love with potential. You fall in love with presence. You no longer fear loss. You respect its wisdom. Letting go isn't forgetting. It's not pretending the connection didn't matter. It's saying, I loved you deeply. I still do, but I love myself enough not to stay stuck in a place that no longer grows me. That's not rejection. That's liberation. Because sometimes the greatest act of love isn't holding on tighter. It's learning to let go with grace and trusting that what's meant for you will never require you to break yourself just to keep it close.